This first section of our instructing program is the basics of being able to get a message across to a class of people who learn in different ways. I'm going to explain using an imaginary class behind me. And as I'm going through, I want you to imagine that the class is spread out, facing us towards the camera or just facing over, across to this side. So as we're going through each particular technique, and I'll imagine that I'm the instructor facing this way, I want you to keep in mind that as an instructor, you must flick between two methods of teaching a particular technique. Now let's imagine it's a very common left-right punch. As you are facing the class, if you are facing them and you throw your left-right at them and expect them to do their left-right straight back at you, you're going to find there's a problem. And this may be common knowledge, but it's something that's got to be an automatic response from an instructor. As you throw your left, the students will throw their right. So when you're facing the students, you have to do everything mirror image. So your straight left jab is going to look to the students like this. And your left-right punch, if you're doing that combination, is going to look like this. So you can see all I'm doing is I'm switching feet, I'm switching stance. So when I'm facing the class, I'm actually doing it as a southpaw. So I'm doing it mirror image. Occasionally, I'm going to have to match them. So I would be with them and we'd all be throwing our left-right. So I would even hold this hand up and say, that's how you throw the left. But when I spin around, I've got to throw the left with my right. So you've got to be able to flick between the two, mirroring them occasionally and matching them occasionally. And that goes for pretty well every technique. Okay, let's imagine that you've just shown them a particular technique. Let's imagine that the class is in pairs and they're going through a drill where person one and person two do it towards each other. The first thing an instructor should do is not jump into the middle of the floor and start helping people. That's probably for something the assistants would do. This next method is nicknamed the lighthouse method or the lighthouse effect. What does a lighthouse do? When you're looking at a lighthouse, it'll swing around. Obviously it goes behind, but you'll see the light swing across. So your job as an instructor is to wander backwards and forwards visually, to have a look how the whole class is going at it. If you are doing an elbow and a knee technique, if you're doing a block and a punch technique, your first port of call after explaining it is to be able to stand back and assess how the whole class is performing. You're basically watching to see if they all mess it up, you'll stop right where you are, stop them, re-explain it, and then start them off again. If you've got the whole class spread throughout our floor and you're noticing that 90% of them are performing it well, but only say 10% of them, say one pair is having a problem with it, then either you or your assistant instructor would go over there and help them. Especially in things like sparring, you should be doing, or someone with a responsible position should be doing the lighthouse position or the lighthouse effect all the time. So for instance, if we've got 20 people, 10 pairs, sparring on the floor just here, you as the instructor stand right back here where the camera is so we can look across the whole floor. I don't want to wander way over here and help a couple of people just here, whereas behind me World War III is about to break out. Or there's been some other kind of a problem. So the lighthouse effect happens after you explain something. Your methodology in explaining something again takes the form of another acronym, DECR, demonstration, explanation, correction, repetition. So you demonstrate something first, like I just may have done with a punching combination. I explain how we perform it, how it's used, when it's used. I explain it in detail for those people who need to have it explained to them verbally. Then I correct the class as they're performing it slowly or fast or whatever. And then finally, that's when you get them doing it over and over and over and over again. That method hits the main three ways that people learn. They learn visually. They want to actually be able to see you do it. They learn auditorily. They'll want to hear you say, or they will learn best by hearing you say, turn your shoulders, pivot on the ground, move your hips forward, drop your weight. So visually, the people who see me drop my weight, they'll see me drop. Those people who need to hear it are auditory learners. They'll need to hear me say, drop your weight. And finally, most of us who do martial arts have a large portion of this learning method already in us. We are kinesthetic. We need to actually get in and do it. So you've got to hit those three main methods, and DECR does hit those main three methods.